object at rest tends to remain at rest, and an object in motion tends to remain in motion with the same speed.
Slow down.
With the same speed.
Slow down.
With the same speed.
Slow down.
And in the same direction.
You know what? I'm going to stop sharing this one and I'm going to share another one right quick. Give me 2 seconds. Because there's another particular concept that is very particular to the West African Muslims that come off the slave ships. And so, here we go.
I'm sorry, Moore. I got a question. You said that.
Oh, Brent walked away. Oh no, my screen's not showing. Okay, go ahead.
I got one question. You're saying that when the slaves came off the ships, they spoke Arabic and they also spoke Hebrew. Am I correct?
I was just getting to them slides right now.
All right, cool. All right, get into that. All right.
There we go. So there's one. Well, there's one that you already know about, which is the Billy Simons character, which I'll pull them slides up in a second. But I wanted to get into a quick West Africa, quick Israelite practice, and then dovetail right into the Arabic Hebrew concept, if you don't mind. So again, going into that right quick.
Hey, Brian, I'm here, but I'm on my phone.
Shout out to Dunamis, man. My favorite
What's
mother.
going on, boy?
Hey, real quick, Dunamis, what was that Hebrew name you was talking about, bro?
David
Don't let Dunamis throw y'all off now.
I got my slides. I'm not getting thrown up. What was that Hebrew name?
David Ben Yah, beloved Son of God.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what's up. Shout out to the muck run. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to all the 2.9ers in here.
Hey, and to them 3.9ers. You know what I'm saying? Garfield got you beat.
I knew it was going to start. He just said he wasn't going to fall into the muck run. I knew it was going to start.
Hey, we're all friends here. We're all friends here. You know what I'm saying? So again, this is a particular concept that was interesting. So something me and Garfield talked a lot about was something he says a lot. And again, I respect the question. It's a fantastic question. Can you show me a practice? Can you show me anything like that? Because again, we're talking about material culture, whatnot, right? Something I like to do is point to not only just what's coming off the slave ship, but also point to what was going on in West Africa that we can document, right? And so something that I like to talk about is the concept of the tithing system in West Africa. Because a lot of people don't know that, like in this part of West Africa, we were using the tithing system and whatnot, right? And this is what I was talking about in terms of the Judaism or the Islam being one of the most Jewish forms of Islam you're going to see. The Muslims are praying 3 times a day, not 5. Again, like the Bible, 3 times, not 5. And they use a tithing system in West Africa among Islamic Israelites and Muslims. So somebody I love to talk about quite a bit is Omar ibn Said, who was an educated Muslim. I'll read this right quick. African born around about 1770 in Fouta Toro, which is in modern day Senegal. Right, captured at age 37. He was he was not like a young person. Like Bilal Muhammad was, I think, 14 when he was captured. Omar ibn Said was 37 and brought to South Carolina to be sold. He remained enslaved until his death in 1864. Something he says in his own memoirs, that he writes in Arabic, is something very, very interesting here. Before I came to the Christian country, my religion was the religion of Muhammad, the apostle of God. May God have mercy upon him and give him peace. I walked to mosque before daybreak, washed my face and head, hands and feet. I prayed at noon, prayed in the afternoon, prayed at sunset, prayed in the evening. I gave alms every year, gold, silver, seeds, cattle, sheep, goat, rice, wheat, and barley. I gave tithes of all the above named things. Why is that important to understand? It's important to understand because Muslims don't give 10%. Muslims give 2.5%. And this is something that I even have Garfield ask an Islamic scholar that he brought on to his channel. I asked him, did he know of any West African Muslims that were tithing on it? He said no. Now, what's important to note about that is his expertise in Islam was from a period of time after this period that I'm talking about. So going forward, A book here that's very important to what we're talking about and dovetailing into is 5 classic Muslim slave narratives, edited by Muhammad al-Akhri. And so this says the same thing that I just read off, just so so you understand it's the same stuff. But this is what my man wrote in English, but this was originally written in Arabic. Going forward, what he writes though is on page 20. Or no, he doesn't write this, but this is very interesting to understand. And so Omar ibn Said did become a Christian at one point in time. Again, he was reading the Bible in Arabic, etc., all that type of stuff, right? And this is something that's very interesting about what his church members said about him. Omar proved useful at church due to his knowledge of Arabic and Hebrew. Omar proved useful at church due to his knowledge of Arabic and Hebrew. Asheville Citizen, 1887, quoted in Austin. So he came off the slave ship, tithing, not praying 5 times a day, and knowing Arabic and Hebrew. Coming from a part of, again, Futa Torah was a part of West Africa that's in Senegal, like I'm talking about, where we have the long history of Jews, Christians, etc., whatnot, right? And this is what I'm talking about, like in terms of how that practice is looking different than other Islamic practices. You don't see Muslims praying less than 5 times a day. You don't see Muslims tithing, etc., and you don't see Muslims speaking Hebrew, fam. Not like this. Hold on, pardon me. I skipped on some joints right quick. So yesterday you heard me talking about, or the last time I was on, there was a brother on talking with Garfield talking about from Liberia, talking about the Torod people or whatnot, right? And so you heard me talking about the Torod clerisy, which was a mixture of 5 different the lower class people of 5 different groups: the Tuareg, the Hausa, the Fulani, the Wolof, and the Mandinka, etc. And so they came together and made their own big group, and they stationed themselves at the Futa Torah, and they took on the Fulani language together. So they were 5 groups of people, but they operated under one language, etc. So going forward, they have a well, I'll let that go. But they have a tradition about coming from Mount Tor, etc., in the Sinai Peninsula, and whatnot. But that's not what I want to get into. I want to get into the fact that these particular Muslims, this particular group, this Torod Bay Islamic group, they also use the tithe. This isn't something that one person is just talking about off the side of the neck. This is something that they actually do as a group of people, etc. Let me get to it right quick. Here we go. Importantly, the Imam of the Muslim community was everywhere recognized as the principal political and religious figure. It was to the Imam that all believers looked for the maintenance of Islamic traditions and enforcement of the Sharia and the wisdom necessary for a sound economic and social policy. It also fell to the Imam to provide internal and external security. This he accomplished through the emirs, who were responsible for police and military affairs. In all these communities, taxation was based on the principle of the ushur, the tithe, levied on harvest and legacies. Revenues from the ushur, zakat, and jizya, as well as taxes collected on caravans, and 1/5 of the revenues, the khums, from military expeditions, etc., were distributed by the Imam and his officials in the form of public assistance. So again, they're taking an ushur, a tithe, separate from zakat and jizya. This is not a common thing for Muslims and whatnot. Again, when Garfield asked the scholar on his channel, and Garfield got the question from me. Garfield texted me and asked me, "What questions you want me to ask you?" I said, "Ask him about the tithe." The dude clearly said no. They gave 2.5%. And so I'm gonna stop that one right quick. Stop sharing there, and finish it off on the Billy Simons one right quick, because I thought this was interesting myself. Hold on. Let me share my screen one more time. And I appreciate y'all for your patience. Oop. Hit the wrong button, sorry. Here we go. Brain is not. There you go. There we go. That's what's up. So the infamous Billy Simons. The first mention of dark-skinned Jews in the United States was a mulatto Jew in 1668 named Solomon, the first Jew to live in New England and perhaps the offspring of an African slave mother and white Jewish father. However, the more well-known first recorded Jew of African descent in the United States was Billy Simons in the 1850s, a scholar in both Hebrew and Arabic, born in Madagascar in 1780 and reportedly from a Jewish African tribe. The claim supported by two cantors and other authorities. He was purchased into slavery by white Jewish slave owners and brought to South Carolina, where he proceeded to become the first admitted black member to a white shul in Charleston. The constitution of the same shul, Kahal Kodesh Beth Elohim, is infamously stated that it accepted any member, provided he or she or they are not people of color. So he shouldn't have been accepted, but he was accepted because of his understanding of the practice, etc. The KKBE Constitution opened membership to all who followed its requirements except people of color. But it is known that a slave named Billy Simons, called by the Congress Uncle Billy, attended the synagogue in the 1850s. He claimed that he was from the Rechabite tribe in Africa. This group appears in the 35th chapter of Jeremiah. They originally lived in the land of Israel, and according to the commentary, David on the book of Jeremiah, the tribe traced its lineage back to Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, who according to tradition converted. Billy always wore, well, that part doesn't matter. But so again, we're seeing this Billy Simons character claiming a Jewish descent. Now he's coming from East Africa. I'm not tripping on that, right? Make no amends. I'm not claiming like this should be transported to West Africa. What I just showed you prior to this was somebody who comes from a tradition of Arabized or Islamicized Jews, etc., whatnot, right? Who's practicing a Jewish form of Islam, right? Or the most Jewish form of Islam you're going to see has practices of Judaism within the Islam and whatnot, right? That you don't see in other forms of Islam at all. And here, you coming on the other side of Africa, right? You see the same thing. Somebody who again, like Omar ibn Said, can speak Arabic and Hebrew, has a Jewish tradition coming from Africa, whatnot, and still getting involved in the slave trade. So what am I saying? I'm saying that we're seeing evidence of this coming from both sides of Africa, like I said, and that the American population, African American population, is not one homogenous population, and it's very mixed. It has very mixed descendancy and whatnot, and that should be taken into account. Now, what's interesting is that this is very reminiscent of the concept of the Lemba or the people from Comoro Islands and whatnot, to where the Lemba say that they came here on slave ships. Cohen Hamadisha said that they came here on slave ships, right? When I talked to Tudor Parfit was saying that we need to do more DNA tests to see if we can corroborate this or whatnot, because we're finding people who have different haplogroups. For instance, like Dante Fortin, for instance, right, who's EM84. When studying the Lemba, they don't just carry haplogroup J; they carry haplogroup E. Not just haplogroup E, but E1B1B as well. When talking to Tudor, he was stipulating that the DNA tests weren't as specific as they could have been in terms of the STR count, and a more specific test could be done to find out what kind of E1B1B they have. Is it the same kind that Dante has, or is it not? Because Dante has an E1B1B that you can find heavily in the people of Yemen and Arabia and whatnot. So if people like the Lemba are found to have that same type of E1B1B, that points to another type of way of being able to connect yourself to people coming from East Africa, etc. Right? We already see now in taking DNA tests that we have people who have a lot of autosomes that connect to East Africa. Right? A lot of people in YAP have autosomes that come from Somalia, come from Ethiopia, come from Kenya, whatnot. Right? And that's because we have people coming in from the east side of the slave trade, like Uncle Billy and other people. Now, Garfield did email a scholar about this, because he was bent about the concept of Billy Simons being a Jewish, etc. And he wanted to go debunk the thing. And the scholar told him that this, however, perhaps raises the question of the accuracy of the DNA test, since it is known and demonstrated through DNA that a portion of the Bantu-speaking people, the Lemba, are likely descended from Jews, as they have long asserted. It is likely that migration centuries ago accounts for this in both areas. There is a process of formal conversion going on for several years now. So basically, now that we know that there's people coming from that part of the world that are connected to the Jewish population, you got to look at this again. You can't just rule it out. It's very possible that my man not only could have come from there, but could have been descended from the same population, for instance, that the Lembic, the same type of population the Lembic could have come from. If that makes sense. But I've been going for a hot minute. I'll shut it down for right now. I'll let Garfield pick it up and I can go further if I need to.
Object at rest tends to remain at rest, and an object in motion tends to remain in motion with the same speed.
Slow down.
With the same speed.
Slow down.
With the same speed.
Slow down.
And in the same direction.
Damn.